A neat thing was introduced back in Generation 8 with Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that was cross-gen evolutions for regional variants. It started with Obstagoon evolving from Galarian Linoon, and has since expanded to several regional variants. So what if even more of them got new evolutions? Well, that is what we are here to find out today with some evolutions of my very own. So let's check it out. Okay, let's get cracking on some evolutions, shall we? But you know, the only reason that they're even able to happen at all is because of the support you guys provide on things like my new plushie of the new channel mascot, Folkachi. These things are absolutely adorable, and picking one up directly supports videos like this and helps them to keep happening. It's also the best time to pick one up, as you can now get 10% off of one of these little guys as part of our Black Friday sale that's currently happening right now and will be going through November 28th. Just go to histrobishop.com with the link in the description below, use code BFCM at checkout, and you will have yourself an adorable, amazingly soft, and super high quality plushie that you can't get anywhere else for a steal of a deal. It also makes a great gift this holiday season, either for yourself or for a friend or loved one, and it's also great to cuddle up with as well as the temperatures get colder and snowier. And as I said, it directly helps to keep the channel going as well, and helps to keep videos like this one happening, so it's also very, very much appreciated. So pick one up at histrobishop.com, that link is in the description below, and now, let's check out some evolutions. Okay, so since this concept began in Gen 8, the Gen 7 Alola forms were kind of excluded from this opportunity. So let's go ahead and start with an Alolan form, more specifically, Alolan Raichu. Raichu is one of the more popular Alolan forms and was a pretty big reveal during the Gen 7 era, so let's see what it would look like with an evolution, shall we? This is Momochu, the evolution of Alolan Raichu. To put it simply, Momochu is a chonker, and there is a reason for that. It is said that Alolan Raichu evolved from Pikachu into its Alolan form because of its obsession with Alolan pancakes, which caused its change. So I decided to take that concept and basically expand on it, no pun intended, to where Alolan Raichu became a thing because of these pancakes, but then it kept eating them to the point where it evolved again into Momochu. The design isn't as simple as just that, however, because it also utilizes two forgotten facets of the Pikachu family and their designs. The first is that Raichu did actually at one point have an evolution, which was known as Gorochu according to Game Freak. However, it was sadly cut from the games. The second is that also according to Game Freak, Pikachu wasn't always based around a mouse, and originally it was more so based around a daifuku, which is a kind of Japanese pastry of sorts. These are two interesting elements of the Pikachu family's history that we've sadly never gotten to see, so I thought it would be really interesting to essentially combine them both into an evolution, especially since Alolan Raichu has that sweet tooth element going for it already. The more monstrous appearance that Momochu has also comes from how Gorochu was described to be more monstrous as well, but here it's repurposed as a way to represent its monstrous appetite instead. It's also still electric psychic type, but there is also a bit of an elephant in the room here that you may have noticed already, and that is that Raichu is already a third stage Pokemon, so how could it possibly have another evolution? And the answer to that is that I actually totally forgot that Pichu existed when I was coming up with this idea, but I still believe that this is a really fun idea, and if anything, it also also shows that there is potential for a possible 4th stage evolution mechanic someday, which is another idea I have also explored in previous videos, which you can check out right here with the card on screen if you haven't already. Finally, with all of those shenanigans out of the way, its name is also quite perfect as well, as not only does Momochu sound wonderfully cute in my opinion, but it's also perfectly fitting, as it comes from the word Momona, which I could be pronouncing wrong, but it is apparently the Hawaiian word for fat, so yeah, applicable. With that said though, I absolutely adore this design, and 4th stage evolution or not, I think it would be amazing if it was real. Next up is another Alolan mouse Pokemon from the Kanto region, who thankfully doesn't have a forgettable baby form this time, and that would be Raticate. Now, I decided to give Raticate an evolution number 1 because it has room for one, both size and design-wise, as well as within its evolutionary family. But also, since it was the Zigzagoon family who effectively started the whole cross-gen evos for regional variants idea, and it is in the same group of Pokemon with Rattata and Raticate as a Route 1 mammal/rodent, I thought it was only right. So with that said, I give you Rodont. Before we go any further though, I've got to make sure to shout out my man Oscar Belmonte, who drew the artwork for these designs. As always, he does great work, and you can check him out with the links in the description below. With that said, Rodont might look like just a bigger Raticate, but it actually has a pretty well executed design in my opinion. In just the same way that we did with Alolan Raichu, we're building off of Alolan Raticate's concept with Rodont, and that is a concept of a crime boss. It doesn't come through too strongly, but if you look at its dark type, and in particular, the way it is a counterpart to the detective-based Gumshoes, the pieces of its crime boss origins begin to come together pretty well. Heck, Rattata even has that stereotypical Italian mafia guy mustache going on. So since that is there, and that's a fun inspiration, but it doesn't shine through that significantly at the same time, I thought that making an evolution that does do that would be fun, and who becomes the true boss, or Don if you will, of this rat-based crime syndicate. As such, Rodont is full on embracing the fat crime boss stereotype. Basically, we're going for some major Jabba the Hutt vibes here. You can also see these mobster inspirations in the more regal and kind of pompous looking facial hair that it has, as well as in the pattern on its body that roughly resembles a suit coat, which mobsters are often seen wearing. Its hair has also grayed a bit though in this final evolution, which is meant to represent its older age, as it's not only the boss of this line of Pokemon, but also the literal oldest as the final evolution. It also becomes even fatter, if you couldn't tell, which comes from Alolan Raticate's gluttonous nature. And to top it all off, the name Rodont comes from rodent and Don, as in a leader of the Mafia. I originally tried to keep rat in the name, like Rattata and Raticate, but Rodont just worked too well to pass up. Finally, it is also still dark normal type, but if you wanted to spice things up, I think you could also give it the fighting type too to make it dark fighting, and it would work well enough. I just opted not to because, I mean, this thing isn't obviously very equipped to do the fighting itself. It instead sends its henchmen to fight for it. But I think either type combination could still work well based on your personal preference. We might as well come up with an evolution method for these two while we're at it as well, so for Rodont, I would say that it doesn't need anything crazy as a Route 1 Mon, so evolving from Alolan Raticate when reaching level 35 at night, I think would be just fine. For Momochu though, I think a fun way of evolving it would be to give Alolan Raichu 20 of the flavored Melocida items from Sun and Moon, since those are also a delicacy of the region just like the pancakes, and would obviously fit Momochu's inspirations pretty well. Alright, now while I didn't really mean to, we're gonna look at one more Alola Pokemon, because Alola just has the cool Pokemon for this, I guess. It's Alolan Marowak we're looking at now, and for its evolution, Specturnum is what I've come up with. Now, if you watch my videos, you may remember that I also recently made an evolution to regular Marowak, and some of you commented that you would like to see the Alolan form of that evolution as well. Well, I ultimately decided to think of this as its own separate thing, as if it was from an alternate universe or something, but realistically, you could probably say that this is just an Alolan form of Fausturnum as well, so hopefully that works for those who are wanting to see that. I did want to start fresh with Specturnum though, just to see what other possibilities were out there, and while it isn't exactly a jarring or drastic evolution from Marowak, I think the concept behind it is pretty neat. Since Alolan Marowak is based around a fire dancer, I thought that the evolution could be based around a chieftain or even a sage who had mastered its ghostly fire abilities that it gained upon evolving into Marowak. That's why its bone is now more so like a torch or staff with the flame adorned at the end, while its increased ghostly power has also given it even more flames on the skull that it wears on its head as well. As you may have guessed, it is also still a fire ghost type as a result, and the name Specturnum reflects all of this pretty well if I do say so myself. It comes from specter, as in a ghost, reflecting the ghost type, and sternum, the name of a bone, which not only goes along well with the bone theme of these Pokemon, but also the names of its pre-evolutions, who also feature the word bone and other names of bones in their names, and it all just kind of flows and sounds really nice in my opinion too, which is just the cherry on top. Evolution-wise, I think Specturnum could evolve a little more interestingly, cause to me, it feels like the kind of Pokemon that you gotta earn with a more special evolution method. Since it, as a Pokemon, is all about it mastering those ghostly skills, I think you could evolve Marowak into this by leveling it up while using nothing but ghost and fire type moves in a battle. So not anything super crazy, but just crazy enough to feel like you earned it when you finally figured out how to evolve it. At least without just Googling it like you can do nowadays. But what do you guys think of all of these evolutions as a whole, though? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new as well, because it really helps the video out. Also, be sure to grab a Folkachi plush while they're on sale for Black Friday with the link in the description below. Use the code BFCM at checkout to get 10% off, and that runs until November 28th. And it massively supports the channel. It's extremely appreciated. It helps to make videos like this one to happen, and it gets you a soft and adorable plushie, so honestly, it's like the best thing ever. With that said, I will see you guys very soon with another new video. Thanks so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it. And until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.